Welcome to Module 8, Developing Compassion. Compassion is the most important but most poorly understood concept. Some people equate the word compassion with kindness. Others equate being compassionate with being soft or as a weakness. What do you think? A definition of compassion: a sensitivity to causes of suffering in self and others, with a commitment to try to alleviate and prevent it. To one aspect is awareness. That's being attentive or sensitive to the fact that some sort of suffering is occurring. Suffering could mean some distressing struggle with emotional pain, mental pain, physical pain, or all of these. Another aspect is normalising, recognising that experiencing this sort of pain is universal. We all experience pain at some point to varying degrees. The fact that we experience pain isn't a fault or failing of ours. We are not to blame for our pain, and we are not alone in our pain. And kindness. Compassion is not shying away from or ignoring the pain, but meeting this pain with feelings of kindness, care, warmth, and concern. And another aspect to compassion is alleviation, focusing our energy on ways to alleviate the pain, which may be via providing further comfort and caring actions, providing a helpful perspective regarding whatever the trouble is, or having the strength and courage to take other necessary actions to address the problem being faced. So self-compassion is about doing all these 4 things for ourselves when we are struggling. That is, 1, being aware of our own pain, whatever that might be. 2, understanding that whilst feeling this pain is hard, this is a normal human experience, not a failing on our part, and we are not alone. 3, it then involves directing feelings of kindness and care towards ourselves, just as we might to someone else we care about who is struggling. 4, and finally, focusing our attention and energy on how we might improve our own pain and move through the struggle we are facing. You may be thinking, well, that all sounds very nice, but how do I do that exactly? But before knowing how, we need to know why it's so important. Also to be aware of our positive and negative beliefs about self-criticism and self-compassion. Self-compassion is one of the most powerful sources of coping and resilience available to us. There are many benefits, including a reduction in depression, anxiety and stress, which is backed by research, an increase in oxytocin, which is that chemical that triggers the sense of calm, soothing, love and safety. Self-compassion can deactivate the brain's threat system by activating its safeness, soothing system, and balances our emotions, so we're not dominated and controlled by fear. During hard times, people who practice self-compassion are kinder to themselves and bounce back faster from setbacks, helping you through difficulties. Because practicing self-compassion brings you in touch with your ability to meet your own needs, when you give yourself what you need, this gives you a greater pool of energy to allow you to respond sensitively to the needs of others. This also leads to less burnout when giving to others, so fill your own cup. What you will notice: your personal standards will just be as high, but you will not become as upset with yourself and beat yourself up when you don't meet them. You'll be less fearful of failure and more likely to try again. You will take more personal responsibility and be more motivated to repair past mistakes. Self-criticism can get in the way of self-compassion. It's easy and automatic to be self-critical. where being self-compassionate can take more work and conscious attention. Self-criticism is a thinking style that involves internal self-talk being highly negative, disparaging, and berating. For example, I'm an idiot. You're useless. Why did I do that? I should have known better. I never get it right. What do you typically criticise yourself for? What sort of things do you typically say to yourself or about yourself? How do you say these things? What does your internal voice sound like? Does it remind you of anyone? When you criticise yourself, how does it make you feel? And what do you think the negative consequences are of speaking to yourself like this? So pause and take some time to think about these questions. Now think about, how does it feel to give compassion to others? Sometimes we can find it much easier to give compassion to others than to ourselves. How does it feel? What body language and voice do you use? What words do you say? What do you do? How does it feel to receive compassion from others? This sometimes can be quite difficult. How does it feel to give compassion to yourself? Does it feel comfortable or uncomfortable? Do you do it? For some people, compassion can be difficult because of early life experiences. You may have experienced limited care, kindness, and nurturing from others growing up, leading to the soothe system being underdeveloped. The soothe system thrives on and is stimulated by having compassionate experiences. Essentially, it's hard to learn something that you were never taught. So if you didn't receive as much compassion as was needed from others in earlier life, then it is understandable that it can be more difficult to develop the ability to be compassionate to yourself later in life. Now, it doesn't mean that you had uncaring parents or you didn't have happy times or positive experiences and relationships. But compassion is so important that even a slight lack of compassion in certain circumstances or by particular people can still have quite an effect. Another reason why compassion can be difficult is due to the threat system. As we've already learnt, our brain is hardwired to shift into threat mode pretty easily to protect ourselves. Seeing the negative is our default attention bias. Turning our attention to more self-compassionate endeavours is therefore overriding this attention bias, which is not something that comes naturally to us. A further reason is a lack of awareness. Many of us may not be aware that we are struggling, or aware of the unhelpful critical ways we may be treating ourselves. We can go through life on autopilot, doing what we've always done. We get tangled and stuck in our struggle, never pausing to consciously recognise we are struggling and that maybe we could deal with this in a different way. Maybe it's never even occurred to us that treating ourselves kindly is an option. Negative beliefs about self-compassion is another difficulty. Some of us may cringe at the idea of self-compassion. Being self-compassionate is not something we're taught about or talk about a lot, so it can carry some negative connotations. Some people think being self-compassionate is too touchy-feely and will lead to laziness, self-indulgence, or self-pity. Rest assured, self-compassion is none of these things. Practicing self-compassion can feel difficult at first. Be mindful if you're having a tough time, because you're not alone in this struggle. This is a part of life. Bring a sense of kindness to yourself with your self-talk. There are different ways we can practice self-compassion, including creating a compassionate image, catching your thinking, taking actions, and developing courage to gradually turn towards difficulties. Creating a compassionate image may feel a bit uncomfortable and strange at first, but it's really useful in connecting to what compassion really feels like. If it feels triggering or really uncomfortable, then just take a step back from it, and it might mean you need a bit more guidance and support. But if you want to give it a go, just close your eyes and slow your breathing. Think of compassion, what it looks like and feels like. Allow an image to arise that represents compassion for you. It might be a person, it might be a colour, or a certain figure, or something more concrete like light or water. Just go with whatever comes up. Compassion needs to feel safe and comforting and warm, accepting and present. How does this image help you feel safe and comforted? Feel its unconditional acceptance. How does it convey strength and security? How does it hold wisdom, and how does it share this with you? Feel it giving you comfort and care. And the idea is that you can use this compassionate image when you need it. It will give you strength and the resources that you need to cope with whatever difficulty you're facing. But it's definitely one that requires practice and guidance and perseverance. Compassionate thinking is useful when we're getting caught up in self-criticism. So if you notice yourself doing this, ask some questions such as these. What advice would I give to a friend I deeply care about who is thinking and feeling this way? What does the compassionate part of me want to say to the self-critical part? What are some other ways of viewing this situation that might be more realistic, kinder, or more helpful to me? How will I feel about this in 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year? If it won't matter much then, can I let go of it now? What can I do to cope and look after myself now? And notice your tone of voice you use. When we're compassionate, we tend to use a softer, kinder, gentle voice than when we're being self-critical. So notice the difference. And do you take any compassionate actions? So self-soothing activities. There are loads that you could do. Many you may do already. But prioritising and valuing these can be a really helpful tool in developing more self-compassion. So it could be meeting a friend for a walk, listening to music, singing, having a bubble bath, pampering yourself, doing your nails, read a book, cuddle your dog or cat, doing some relaxation or meditation, walk in nature, or just take a break. We can further develop compassion by giving care towards others. Now, this is not at the expense of ourselves, or being passive, unassertive, or submissive to other people's demands. It's really not about people-pleasing, or being compassionate to anyone and everyone. So whether it's thanking someone close for doing something they do, doing something caring to cheer someone up, giving a compliment, offering to help with bags, giving a seat to someone else. And care from others So this is about allowing someone to show care and practice accepting it, even if it can feel a bit uncomfortable. So these flows of compassion towards ourselves, towards others, and from others are all important. So in summary, the skill of compassion is about being brave to feel difficulty, knowing it's shared and can be alleviated. There are numerous benefits, including supporting emotional health, building resilience and coping, effectively balancing meeting needs of self and others. Self-criticism can be an automatic and habitual way of treating yourself, which actually is not helpful at all. Compassionate thinking is not a soft approach, but is brave, active, and motivating. We can practice compassion through developing skills in imagery, thinking, actions, and acceptance. So take some time completing the task sheet, and do ask any questions if you need any guidance. Now this module is completed. Next is facing your fears.